Last episode was how you run things in the cloud. This one is about where they actually are. We'll cover regions, the places around the world where AWS operates, availability zones, the separate data centers inside each region, edge locations, the sites that sit even closer to your users, and how you choose where your systems should live. Regions are the starting point. A region is a place in the world where AWS runs a cluster of data centers. Each one is named for its location. US East 1 sits in Virginia, EU West 2 is London, and there are dozens more around the world. When you create a resource, like a server, you pick the region it lives in, and it physically runs there. Everything you build in AWS sits inside a region you chose. Now zoom into a single region. Inside it, the data centers are grouped into availability zones. Each zone is one or more data centers with its own power, its own cooling, and its own networking. The zones sit far enough apart that a fire, a flood, or a power failure in one zone shouldn't reach the others. But they're close enough to be connected by fast private links. So a region isn't one big building, it's a small group of separate sites, isolated from each other, working together. Why split a region into zones at all? To survive failures. Run your application in a single zone, and a problem in that zone takes the whole thing down until it recovers. Run a copy in two zones instead, and a zone failure stops being an outage. One copy goes down, the other keeps serving, and most of your users never notice. That's what high availability means, and it's the main reason availability zones exist. So, which region should you use? 4 things usually decide it. Closeness to your users, because the nearer the region, the faster the app feels. Data rules, because some records legally have to stay in a particular country. Service availability, because newer AWS services usually reach some regions before others. And price, because the same resource can cost a different amount in different regions. For most teams, the answer is the nearest region to their users that the rules allow. Some companies use more than one region, and 2 reasons come up most. The first is disaster recovery. Keep a copy of your critical systems in a second region, and even a region-wide problem won't take you offline. The second is global users. Serve each audience from a region near them, and the app feels fast in both places. The trade-off is cost and complexity, so multi-region setups are for the systems that really need them. One more layer sits even closer to your users. Edge locations. These are small sites in hundreds of cities, far more of them than regions, and their job is speed. Say someone nearby opens your site and asks for an image. The edge location serves it from a local copy called a cache. Only when the file isn't there yet does the request go back to your region. Users get content from close by, and your app never had to move. On the exam, this is mostly recognition. A question about isolated data centers with independent power and networking is describing availability zones. Running copies of an app across 2 zones, that's high availability. A rule that data has to stay inside one country points at your choice of region. And anything about content reaching users faster from nearby sites points at edge locations. Let's recap. Regions are the places AWS operates, clusters of data centers around the world. Availability zones are the separate, isolated sites inside a region. Running in more than one zone is what gives you high availability. And edge locations put copies of your content close to your users. That's the map of AWS. Next episode, cloud economics. What the cloud actually costs. We'll compare fixed costs with pay for what you use, work out the total cost of ownership, the full bill of running your own hardware, and look at right-sizing, paying only for what you actually need. Thanks for watching, and see you there.